Beyond the scars is actually more like my personal story. 15 years ago, I was involved in an accident on my way to write my post-UTME in Akure. And I was actually a student of Yabatech studying architecture at that time. And I needed to transition from a polytechnic to a university because it's been in my mind that I had to have a graduate degree from a university and a recognized university at that. As at then, when you are feeling jam from, they'll tell you the topmost schools to apply to. And so FUTA was the topmost school as at then for me to study architecture. And so I had to forfeit two of the papers I had left in Yabatech then and rush the one I was currently writing. And I made us, I wasn't the only one involved in it actually. A friend of mine, we were to write the exams together. And so it made me, you know, rush up one paper. We got to the park late because we were dropped off and we embarked on the journey. Lo and behold, we got involved in an accident. I don't know if actually you've heard that word where they call in Yoruba Begilodo. I really don't know the exact interpretation, but I know it has to do with those trucks that carry logs of wood. And so on our way, it was a multiple accident actually. I think it was a multiple collision rather. We had close like maybe 3 or 4 vehicles collided with each other, one there, one there. To cut the long story short, I woke up in the pool of my own blood, and I couldn't see. I was in a wheelchair for almost a week because I had stitches almost across my head. So the way it was done, I needed to be in a kind of position such that there's no strain on whatever was done, and it doesn't flow into my eye, so I didn't lose my eye. And so it was a lot of drama. The first time I had the opportunity to look at a mirror was a small broken mirror we found in the hospital, then the specialist hospital in Akure. And so when I looked at the mirror and I saw my face, I was someone that I didn't even have pimples. So when I saw my face with the scars, I was broken. I was shattered. Like I felt like it was all over. I didn't have my. And there was this particular lady in Yabatek. Then I used to buy stuffs from her store. So when I go to her store, she would always compliment, "Oh, your skin is so fine. Your face is so smooth. So all those compliments subtly they had gotten into my mind. So the first thing that happened when I saw the scars was like I lost my self confidence. I lost my self esteem. I felt like I wasn't good enough again. I wasn't beautiful. I had scars. I had spots because it was not just the scar across my forehead. There were scratches and everything. And I was just a young girl, so I think I was just barely out of my teenage age. So it had a lot to do with my mind. I lost. I had a sense of loss of identity. Or how do we say that? I lost my sense of identity, and so down the line, let me make you laugh. I still did not make the post jam exam. When we were asked, I think they sent representatives from the school to the hospital to check on the students that were involved in the accident. I think we had 14 people die in that accident. It was I was told we were dragged out of under the bus along there and there. I woke up beside the dead body, and the only thing that happened was that the man, I think his teeth scattered, and that was the day I found out that there's actually life in even the teeth. So I think his teeth got scattered and probably he choked on it or something like that. So I woke up beside a dead body. I woke up in somebody else's clothes and not my clothes because they actually had to tear off my clothes. It was covered in my blood. So it was a lot of drama trying to remember those scenes. And the problem is trauma is so bad that you relive those sins unconsciously. For every time you come in contact with something that is so close to what happened, you remember virtually everything that happened at the scene of the incident or the accident. So I couldn't write the exam. They asked us to come for I think PDG or something like that. My dad wasn't interested. So my dad asked that we go back to Lagos immediately after we're done with the first set of the treatment. I think I spent a week and maybe a few days or so before we returned back to Lagos. When we had the accident, luckily enough for me, um, we had gotten to a particular place where we swapped seats. So by blood group, I'm O negative. So if I had maintained, okay, there was the driver or the owner of the bus just got new set of glass. He was supposed to replace the windows by the around the bus. So I think that was the window that actually gave myself and my friend the major cuts that we experienced when the bus was stumbling. So when we actually got out of the hospital, they were like, we needed blood. But because of where I was positioned, I wasn't so injured where I needed blood. It was my friend that actually needed the blood donation. And if I was to be in that situation, I probably wouldn't have gotten an immediate attention as she did, because she was lucky her blood was readily available. I am O negative, so it's very rare to get people who actually have O negative blood. And my dad that had the O negative blood did not come to the following morning because they couldn't even make the scene of the accident. It happened late in the night. So it was a whole lot of back and forth. Got back to Lagos. I didn't know I was traumatized. I just got out of an accident and I just know that I survived. Everybody was thanking God. We had gone to church for Thanksgiving, the regular thing. So now the days after the accident is actually where the trauma lies. So you are in your room, you're sleeping, and suddenly you just slip into that dream world and you begin to relive the scenes. You hear the sound of the honk, or you hear a car honking, and the next thing you are reliving those scenes. You see somebody that had a mild injury or a major injury, and you are there, you are reliving those scenes. So every little detail, every little thing that I saw reminded me of those things. And as at then, I didn't even know what it was. I didn't know, I didn't have an idea. Nobody had had an accident in my house whereby we want to know that there's something called trauma or a particular treatment to go along with it. So it took a while before I realized that it was trauma. I can't even particularly say this was the point in my life where I realized it was trauma. But I remember that I went visiting a friend and I wanted to cross the road. I crossed the middle of the road. And I saw the bikes, they were just moving in an uncoordinated manner. I got scared, the sound of the horns, the cars honking on the road and everything. And I got confused. I lost consciousness and I started turning at the middle of the road. So I think the friend noticed. People saw me. I didn't even know what happened. It just came. They slapped me to regain consciousness. So it was the slap. I had to come calm, and I'd crossed the middle of the road. I was just supposed to finish the journey. I ran back. So a lot of things that a lot of people don't know. So the challenge is the victim doesn't know what is going wrong. The family or the loved ones of the victims don't know what is going wrong. Talk more of knowing how to help the person. So it's a lot of things that should be addressed or are not addressed because of lack of awareness. And so I'm naturally inclined to things that are artistic. I was studying architecture already. So I'm naturally inclined to things that make me draw. I don't know why. I don't know how it started, but that was how it is. But I realized that along the line, I'd always loved photography. I love to take pictures. I love to create pictures. That's collect pictures. I noticed that along the line, in the course of the journey of trauma and post-traumatic stress disorder, the only thing that gave me comfort was actually photography, because after the accident, because of the scars, I've become so self-conscious. I avoided making contact with people. I avoided having personal relationship, because in my subconscious, you are staring at me, you are staring at my scars, you are, so even if I'm walking, how I actually know that people are staring at me is I begin to hit my leg against things. Once I just turn, I know that somebody is staring at me. I can actually feel their eyes on me. So I was so conscious, and I would rather go into isolation. I suddenly became an introvert. I didn't really want to interact with people. I didn't want to talk. I was just trying to avoid those contacts. And so I think having lived through those experiences over the years, I think I finally got my liberation. I think sometime in 2022, I had to travel to Ibadan for a friend's wedding. exactly maybe 12 or 13, I think it was 13 years after the accident. It happened to be on the exact date. And so it was difficult, but thank God for my very good friend and his friends. The trip was actually easy. And so it was like they created another experience for me on that exact date. I had a couple of people that told me to stop, should I say, more like I shouldn't create a ritual around that date, because for every time the date is coming up and I'm remembering or trying to, I begin to relive those experiences. So I think after after the event at Ibadan, I felt that that was a liberation moment for me. Was I completely forgot that day because I was so involved in the event of the wedding. And since then, I completely felt free. Like I completely felt free. And after that, I saw the need to do something about it. Okay, what do I want to do with this experience? It has already happened. What next? I had the privilege of capturing a friend's portrait session last year. She has also been through an accident, and she also sustained a scar on her face. And so when I saw her scar when I was taking those pictures, at a point I felt like, okay, I will edit the scars off, and so that the picture can be picture perfect. And there was just this nudging in my heart not to, but to make sure that the scars blend with her beauty. Because taking off the scar is like taking a part of her away or taking a part of her experience away. And I am not into that the business of taking of stripping people of their identity. I'm of the opinion that for every aspect of photography I do, I want to emphasize the details in the pictures. I want to emphasize the details in the personalities that I am capturing. And so it was very important for me to capture her scars in a way that she still looks beautiful. And that was where the idea came beyond the scars. And so I've been, working on it, trying to see what I can do about it, how I could relate. I don't know how it happened, but there's this thing they call Kairos moment. Just there's this light that will just shine in your mind, and after that word came beyond the scars, I started working on it, on how to see, how to. I started working on how to create a connection between photography and mental health. So I did a little research on it, and I saw that it was, yes, I've always known that, because since it worked for me, I didn't know medically it was approved, but since it worked for me, I realized that there was a non-pharmacologic intervention, or a non there was a non-pharmacological way to treat mental illness or mental health related issues. And so art was one of it, music was one of it, dancing was one of it, painting was one of it, photography was one of it. And since I was a photographer, I felt like this was something I needed to, work on. And so it became like a lifelong mission. Yes, after working on my final project to design a medical facility in school, then yes, it's still on paper as a dream. It's something that will bring to life later. God spraying all our lives. But I felt like, what can I do now? What do I have? What resource do I have now? What can I work with now to be able to bring about this vision? Felt like, oh, I have the skill, I have the equipment, I have the scar. Why not talk about my story? And I felt like it would be a connecting link for people that have also been through similar situations, to find that they can actually do something, or there's something that is actually affordable, that they could actually use to treat themselves or help treat people around them that have also been through similar situations. And so I started working on creating an avenue to to educate people on mental health related issues and how to treat it. I started thinking of things that we could actually work on easily, without having to break the bank. And that was what bettered beyond the scars. And so it's just an avenue for people to embrace photography and mental health, to embrace that connection between photography and mental health. And so over the next couple of weeks, God sparing our life, we'll have people who have experiences of people who have healed, how they healed, what they did, and also we would God helping us, will create a platform where people can actually, make use of these skills and nest the skills. And this is more like an open call for people that are art inclined, people graphically inclined, people musically inclined to, come together as a creative space to help address mental health related issues. I was reading on Channels News how poverty is actually impacting the mental health of people. People don't know these things. The funny thing about it is people that have mental health related issue are easily stigmatized. It's just like when you see people with scars, people that have been involved in an accident and they actually have physical scars, people that have been emotionally abused and they have emotional scars. They are easily stigmatized. There's always this blame game in the whole scenario. Meanwhile, they're actually the victims. And it's because people are actually not educated about it. So when you see somebody that has a mental health related issue, the next thing you assume that they are psychotic, they are mad, they are, yes, they might be dealing with bipolar, they might be dealing with some related mental issues, but that doesn't mean they need to be committed to an asylum. There are other ways to treat mental health related issues. So even medical facilities now should start creating avenue to, how do I put that word, to in the design of those medical facilities, they should create that avenue where non pharmacological inventions or interventions can actually help address those mental health issues. So maybe create an art theater, an exhibition area within the hospital where people can actually be a play area. Even the funny thing, games can actually lift up the spirit of people and improve their mental health. Games like chess, they have to think, they have to, things that does not warrant overthinking and make you look as if you are fighting a war or you are in a competition. No, things that actually relieve. So when people, you will notice that people go to places where they feel alive, where they come alive. It improves their mental health. Musical theaters, cinemas, and the likes. So all those kind of atmospheres, we need to start adding them to medical facilities. We need to start adding them to even schools, because some people come to schools, they've been through emotional abuse at home, they've been through verbal abuse at home, and they just need a place to cool off. So beyond, and that's why I really appreciate all those co-curricular activities that are being done in school. People don't know that they actually had to improve, they help to improve the mental health of victims or individuals that have been involved in such